Geobite.
Welcome to Geobite. So the third kingdom is kingdom fungi. In fungi, we have all of them heterotrophic mode of nutrition, that is, they are saprophytic. They just ingest the organic material around them, and they usually grow in moist and damp places. So that's how you find fungi in your moist bread. So you find black spores on moist bread, that's nothing but your fungi. So fungi also has its own uses, that its yeast is used for making bread and beer, and also another use which we see is the discovery of penicillin. Penicillin is an antibiotic which is taken from penicillium. When you come to the shape of it, it has a filamentous structure, something like this. So this is nothing but hyphae. It's called hyphae, and a network of hyphae is called as mycelium. So these mycelium are usually septate, that is, they have divisions. If the divisions are absent, it's called aseptate. So that's the nomenclature. And when you call it a cenocytic mycelium, it means it has multiple nuclei in its cytoplasm. The cell wall of fungi is made of chitin, and we find fungi as symbionts in case of lichens, and then as mycorrhiza in roots of plants. So when I say lichen, I will be talking at the end of this chapter in detail about it. But right now you understand symbiosis is a mutual relationship between two different organisms. They benefit each other, they do not harm each other, they live together. So in case of lichens, we have fungi and algae. We'll see why it's a mutual relationship, why they call symbionts at the end. So we have four types of organisms in fungi again. So the first one is the Phycomycetes. So Phycomycetes are aquatic, so they grow in the moist and damp places. We see their mycelium is aseptate and it is cenocytic, that is multiple nucleated cytoplasm. The reproduction is asexual as well as sexual in case of Phycomycetes. Now, when we say sexual, it means it has to produce spores. So its spores are zoospores and aplanospores. Zoospores are the ones which are motile, that is, they are freely moving. When we say aplanospores, they are non-motile, they do not move. So these spores are being present exogenously on an organ called as a sporangium. So this is what happens in an asexual reproduction. When we come to the sexual reproduction, it produces a zygophore. So this zygophore is produced by fusion of two gametes. Now this fusion of two gametes can be two similar gametes. That's when it is called as isogamous. When there is fusion of two dissimilar gametes, it's called oogamous fusion. So this is about the sexual reproduction in Phycomycetes. I'll give a famous example for Phycomycetes, that is mucor. Mucor is nothing but the scientific name of the fungi which grows on your bread. Okay. Next we have the second one, that is the Ascomycetes. Even in Ascomycetes, you see they grow in moist and damp places. They are coprophilous. What is the meaning of coprophilous? That is, these organisms grow on dung. Alright. Then we see their mycelium are septate. Okay. Then we come to the reproduction part. In reproduction, it undergoes asexual and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is by producing spores called conidia, and sexual reproduction is by producing spores called ascospores. Now these conidia are present outside an organ called as conidiospore. That is, exogenously they are present. That is, if this is the conidiospore, we have outside. In case of sexual reproduction, there is a fruiting body called as ascocarp. What is it? Ascocarp. So this is a fruiting body. Inside the ascocarp, we have the ascopores. So this is the sexual reproduction. The most famous one are the penicillium and yeast under Ascomycetes, and the scientific name of which is Aspergillus. Now when we are talking about reproduction in fungi, you see fungi has three types of reproduction. Apart from sexual and asexual reproduction, it has what is called as vegetative reproduction too. So in vegetative reproduction, it just fragments. We'll see what comes under this type of reproduction. Let's move to the third one, which is Basidiomycetes. Basidiomycetes are the organisms which usually grow in soils. Here, the commonly Basidiomycetes are called as mushrooms, what we eat. So mushrooms are nothing but Basidiomycetes. These are also having a septate mycelium. Here the reproduction is vegetative. That's what I was mentioning. The reproduction occurs vegetatively. That is, they fragment. There is no asexual reproduction in Basidiomycetes. So you need to remember that there is no asexual reproduction in Basidiomycetes. Now when I say sexual reproduction, it has different steps. So how a sexual reproduction happens? Initially there is something called as plasmogamy. Okay, plasmogamy is a process where there is a fusion of protoplasm. Protoplasm is something, the fluid which is present inside the cell apart from the genetic material, that is the DNA or RNA. Once the plasmogamy is done, the next step is the karyogamy. So here I have written karyogamy. So in karyogamy there is fusion of the genetic material. Once the fusion of genetic material is finished, that's when cell division happens. Which cell division happens? Meiosis happens. When meiosis happens, it gives us the spores. So that's how the sexual reproduction happens. When I come to Basidiomycetes, there is no presence of sexual organs. So the sex organs are absent. So how does the sexual reproduction happen? Two vegetative cells, they fuse together, which are of different genotypes. So these two vegetative cells are having different genotype. They fuse together. That is called as plasmogamy. So when two vegetative cells fuse, you will get a cell which has two nuclei. So a cell with two nuclei is called dikaryotic. This is nothing but the basidium. Basidium is dikaryotic. After this, we find karyogamy happening, which is the fusion of the genetic material. Then there is meiosis, and then there is the production of spores. In this case, it's called as basidiospores. So the example for this I have given is agaricus. So agaricus is a scientific name of mushrooms. It's one of the species, I will say. Next comes the fourth one, that is the Deuteromycetes. So Deuteromycetes also reproduce asexually by producing spores called conidia, and their mycelium is septate. So what's the importance of Deuteromycetes is that they decompose the litter. So this helps in mineral cycling. So this is the important function of Deuteromycetes, and the example here is Trichoderma. So this is all about kingdom fungi. So we have the fourth kingdom, Plantae. Plantae and Animalia will be discussed in detail as separate chapters, and here I will just be giving the introduction to the kingdoms. Plantae are eukaryotic autotrophs. So these are eukaryotic autotrophs, whereas Animalia are eukaryotic heterotrophs. Now when they are autotrophs, they synthesize their own food through a process called photosynthesis. That's when they require chlorophyll. So these are chlorophyll containing organisms. At times, there are plants we observe which are heterotrophic also. That is, they do not synthesize their food. They consume from or they ingest from outside to inside. That is when it is called as heterotrophic. So this is the most interesting creature in our nature, bladderwort, Venus flytrap. So these are the two plants which are heterotrophic. They feed on insects. These are insectivores. Now, there are beautiful videos on YouTube where you can watch how a Venus flytrap catches the insect. So, usually the leaf of Venus flytrap is something like this. It attracts insects because of its color, and as the insect approaches its surface, it closes, it digests that particular insect and uses it as its food. So these are the beautiful organisms, you can see them. See these videos, they are very interesting. And we have parasitic also. Cascata is a parasitic plant which depends on other plants for the nutrition. And you can see the cell wall, which cell wall of the kingdom Plantae is cellulosic. It is made up of cellulose. Whereas in case of Animalia, you do not find any cell wall. There is complete lack of cell wall. Another characteristic feature of Plantae is the life cycle. You find alternation of generations in its life cycle. That is, you find a diploid sporophytic phase which is followed by a haploid gametophytic phase. Now, what are these phases? We will deal in detail in that particular chapter. For now, remember that the life cycle of Plantae, you find there is alternation of generation. Next, when we come to Animalia, we have already seen they are eukaryotic heterotrophs lacking cell wall. We depend on plants directly or indirectly. So, our nutrition under heterotrophs is holozoic. Holozoic is nothing but we ingest the food, right? Under heterotrophic we have saprozoic. Saprozoic is we absorb. So, saprozoic, what are the organisms which are saprozoic? Fungi. Alright. So, this is all about the 5 kingdom classification which Whittaker has given us. So, we have discussed in detail about Monera, Protista, fungi. We have given a brief introduction of kingdom Plantae and Animalia. What we have not discussed in this 5 kingdom classification is something about viruses. So, remember I told you we'll be discussing about viruses at the end of the chapter, and I'll tell you why it's not included in this 5 kingdom classification. Virus is not a true living organism. That is, the living cell of virus is covered by an inert crystalline structure. Now, what's the mechanism, how it grows is virus, it infects us and it enters into our body, and then it uses the machinery of our body to replicate itself, and then it gets out. So that's the mechanism of virus. So it's not a true living organism as we have discussed in all these categories. That's the reason it's not included in our classification. Almost every one of us have been infected by flu and cold. So that's what is caused by these viruses. They are extremely small, smaller than bacteria. So once there was a bacterial proof filter which could hold bacteria, but then viruses were being given out. That means they were smaller than bacteria, and it was actually extracted by scientists from tobacco plant, infected tobacco plants, and that extracted liquid was called as Contagium vividum fluidum. So that's nothing but a poisonous fluid. So the meaning of this word is nothing but poisonous or a venomous. Alright, so we find 2 things in virus, that is the genetic material and an outer protein cover. So the genetic material can either be an RNA or a DNA. So RNA could be a single stranded or a double stranded RNA. The viruses which infect plants are usually single stranded or double stranded RNA, and we also find DNA, double stranded DNA, viruses attacking animals. And we have the outer covering, which is the capsid. Capsid is nothing but a protein. So if this is the genetic material, it's covered all over by the protein. So the subunits of this capsid are called as capsomeres. So all capsomeres together, which are proteinaceous, form capsid, that is the protein cover. So that's more or less the structure of a virus. We have something interesting called as bacteriophages. These are the viruses which attack bacteria. So they kill bacteria, and that's the reason they're called as bacteriophages. There are few terms which have been discussed, that is virions. Virions are viruses which do not have this protein cover. So there's just this genetic material, the RNA, which infects. So there are diseases caused by virions. There are diseases caused by prions. Prions is only the protein. The folded proteins are infectious in case of prions. So these are also viruses which have only RNA or only the protein. And next, I've already told you about lichens, and I told I'll be discussing at the end of this chapter. We will be ending this chapter by discussing about lichens. So when we talked about fungi, we were talking about symbiosis. Symbiosis is a mutual relationship between two organisms. In case of lichens, this symbiosis is between an algae and a fungi. So the algae in lichen is called as a phycobiont and fungi a mycobiont. Alright, now what's the symbiosis happening here? Algae, it synthesizes food for the fungi, and fungi gives shelter to this algae. So that's how these two are benefiting each other. Also, fungi, due to its filamentous hyphae, helps in absorbing the mineral nutrients too. It gives to the algae. Now, these lichens are very important in our nature because they are pollution indicators. Usually, these lichens do not grow in areas which are highly polluted. So, these help us as indicating whether a particular place is polluted or not. So that's about lichens. And yeah, so here we come to the end of this chapter, that is biological classification. The remaining topics will be discussed in the next video. Thank you for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe.
Geobite.